Okay, so we're going to go over a few of the different things that we went over in this video. So it might be a bit of a longer one because we're going to have signs and then some of that deaf culture stuff. This specific video will be talking about the types of hearing loss and why we have them. But first, parameters. I really probably should put this in the first part 1 video. But anyway, we have 5 parameters that we talked about in sign language. And if you change one of these things, you can potentially change the meaning of what you're saying, or you could just be saying it wrong. Those are hand shape, location, movement, palm orientation, and facial expression. Hand shapes are going to literally be the shape that your hand is in, whether it's a letter or a number or a classifier. What shape does your hand need to be in to make that sign? So if we said, hello, I have a B hand shape. Hello, okay? Location is where on your body is this taking place. So again, hello is at my forehead coming up, okay? So that location would be forehead. And then movement would be coming up, okay? What movement is that sign making? You may also say, like for movement, maybe you would write down or think of salute, okay? The orientation is which way your palm is facing. So for hello, my palm is facing down. Not completely down, but it's kind of down to the left, okay? And then your facial expression can change the meaning of what you're saying. So I can say, hello, or I can be like, hello, or hello. And so that changes the meaning of what you are saying. Super, super, super important to have your parameters correct, okay? Let's see. All right, the 100 signs you already know. We already discussed, it's not actually 100, some of them repeat, and some of them maybe you didn't know already, and that's okay. But a lot of these signs are things that hearing people would call a gesture, whereas in sign language, it actually means something. So the first one is baby, okay? Type, like you're typing on a computer or you're typing on your phone. Think, time, sew, like you're sewing up a hole. Money or money. A book. To row a boat. And we talked about that can be depending on which boat you're rowing, right? You could row a boat. They, you're just pointing at them, they. Ice cream. Cut or cut up. A house or a house. To write a paragraph or whatever. Down. A ring or a ring. A slap. A hamburger. Any of your body parts, your eyes, your ears, your arm, your neck. To cry or cry. A coat. To pray. Drive or drive. A hat. To comb your hair. To sleep. Gloves. To brush your hair. Drink. Telephone. A vacuum. Me. Hair. Two. You. Pants or pants. Swim or swim. Soft. Okay. A dress. Basketball. Some said basketball. Fight. A tree or a tree. Fish. Tennis. Ball. Jog or run. Your glasses. Crazy. A beard or a beard. Big. A mustache. Little. No. Yes. Thin or thin. Fat. One. Sad. Goodbye. Tall. Eat. Short. 5. Scissors. Fly. Heavy. We said fight already. Dog. Cat. A referee. Baseball. Fishing. Golf. Hunting. Like your guns, you're hunting. A big box. Your makeup. Earrings. A lawnmower. Big hair. You're nosy. Popsicle. You have a big head. A man's tie or a bow tie. To tie your shoe. Come on. Hello. Smile. 4. Thank. 0. An Oriental person. McDonald's. him, her, it, little, we did comb, break, or you're broke. Okay? I believe that is the end of the signs. But on the other side of your 100 words, you have this cool little graph. Remember we talked about the speech banana? And this, the sounds that we make in our speech kind of form a banana on the hearing chart. And it just kind of shows you some different pictures and what you may or may not be able to hear depending on your hearing loss. Okay, so at the top you have normal hearing. I can hear everything on this sheet. Versus the bottom you have profound hearing loss, and they may not even be able to hear those things that we need ear protection for. So there's that one. Okay. Next we have types of hearing loss. We have mild, moderate, severe, and profound. So mild hearing loss, you might still hear the speech sounds, but those softer sounds like the those sounds you may not hear. So that V, that F, that S, even the B sound. And again, you can look on your chart here. It shows the F, S, K, P, T, H, and V are those softer sounds that you may or may not be able to hear with a mild hearing loss. Okay, moderate hearing loss, you have a bit more hearing loss. You're struggling to understand the speech that is happening. So when someone is talking at a normal level, they're not raising their voice, just a normal speaking level, you are having trouble understanding what they're saying. You might have to listen harder. You might have to pay attention to what their lips are doing to try to make sense of what they are saying. Severe hearing loss, you hear very little, if any, speech at all. When a person is speaking to you at a normal level, you're only going to hear those louder sounds if you hear any kind of speech happening at all. And then profound, you might hear super loud sounds. You're not going to hear any speech at all. So with that severe hearing loss, you might hear like a lawnmower. Profound hearing loss, you might be able to hear like really loud music at a concert if you're standing right next to the speaker, kind of a thing. You might be able to hear a jet take off. And then, of course, you have those that just don't hear anything at all. So those are the degrees of hearing loss. And then on the back of that page, we have the ear anatomy, and I gave everyone this picture to show the parts of the ear so you could kind of get an idea of what this page was talking about. So you have the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear, and each part of that ear could have a different reason as to why you have a hearing loss. The outer ear helps to collect the waves, like it's like a funnel into your ear so that all those sounds can come in toward that eardrum. And then in the middle, you have the three bones we were talking about, the malleus, incus, and staples. And those are the eardrum. They work together. Those bones amplify the movement of those sound waves, and they push it into the eustachian tube, and that's going to connect to the inner ear. Okay. That eustachian tube also helps with like ear pressure, like the air pressure that is in your ear, or trying to go into your ear. And then you do have the inner ear, which actually picks up those sound waves that have been pushed through. And it goes into the cochlea. And they have like these little hair-like things that actually pick up and vibrate to create that sound that we are hearing. Okay. So if any of those parts of the ear are messed up, you could have a hearing problem. On the outer ear, there are people that are born without the hole, so their ear is closed. That can cause hearing issues. Those 3 little bones in the middle of your ear that create your eardrum can be broken or could have not formed, could have been shattered or damaged in one way or another. A lot of times if something's like shoved into your ear too far, that can happen. If your eustachian tube or your cochlea is not developed enough, or it gets damaged in some way, that can cause hearing loss. Those little hairs can be damaged, and those little hairs, it's not just sorry, my hair is like really those little hairs in your ear that pick up on those sounds can be damaged by sound. If you're listening to your music so loud, your parents always warn you, turn down the music, you're going to ruin your hearing. It's legit. You can lose your hearing by listening to sounds that are too loud. So be very careful with that. But that is your ear anatomy. Last thing on hearing, and then I'll make one more video and y'all will be good to go on your review. So the last thing is the types of hearing loss. So we talked about the degrees of hearing loss, why you can lose your hearing. This is more labeling why you lose your hearing. The first one is a sensory neural hearing loss, meaning the inner ear or the actual hearing nerves themselves have been damaged. So again, that eardrum, or not the eardrum, but the hair-like nerves can be damaged. So either of those, it's usually aging, loud noises, you've injured yourself somehow, can happen with diseases. There are several diseases that happen. Meningitis was one of them that really had an impact on many people losing their hearing. Certain medications, certain drugs, or it can be inherited. You can be born with damage to your ear. This kind of hearing loss can't really be fixed. There's no treatment for it. If you still have some residual hearing, obviously there are hearing aids, there are cochlears, things like that, but we're not going to be able to fix your hearing. We can just kind of try to aid it if you have residual hearing left. The next one is sudden sensory neural hearing loss, which one of you guys in the class actually said they had. There's no rhyme or reason. This happens, it's called sudden because it happens suddenly. There's no damage done that you're aware of. There's no real logistical reason as to why you've lost your hearing. It just goes away. Sometimes it's for a couple hours, a couple days. Other times it never comes back at all. Typically, you want to see someone as soon as possible if this happens. There's not much they can do about it, but they say that if you've lost your hearing suddenly and it's been about 2 weeks, you're probably not going to get your hearing back. Conductive hearing loss. That's when the sound is not able to get through your ear. Again, your eardrum could be broken. That eustachian tube could be closed up. Your cochlear could be closed up. Your cochlear could be non-existent. There are people that are born without a cochlear. Cochlear is the device. But if any of your ears, because even the people that are born without the hole, if their ear is closed up this way, that's a conductive hearing loss. The sound is not able to get through the ear like it's supposed to. Okay? And then you have mixed hearing loss. So any of these that we've discussed, you could have a mix of reasons as to why you have a hearing loss. There are hearing tests out there. Obviously, if you have a hearing loss, you've probably taken a hearing test. But your ENT or audiologist will put you through that. And then they'll be able to tell you if a hearing aid or a cochlear may be beneficial for you. I suggest, if you ever need to make that decision, do your research. Don't just take it at face value, because you're not going to be hearing the way, don't expect to hear the same as you did before. It's very robotic, it can be staticky, and it picks up everything, not just hearing the way we hear. Our brains are able to filter out insignificant sounds, the buzzing of the lights, the air conditioner, things that are in the background that you're not really focusing on. Your cochlear or your hearing aid is not going to do that. It's going to pick up everything around you, and it's going to emphasize everything around you. So make that decision very carefully, and be smart about it. And then you have congenital hearing loss, which you're born with the hearing loss. It is genetic. It could be genetic, as in passed down through the family. That has happened. But it could also just be acquired, meaning no one else in your family is deaf, but you were born deaf. And it's like an incidental thing. Older adults, hearing loss can happen, again, with loud music. Can be hereditary. Even though you've been able to hear all your life, once you get to a certain age, you start losing that hearing. That could be hereditary. You could have a head injury. That can cause hearing loss, an infection, a disease. Again, certain prescription drugs can make you lose your hearing. Circulatory problems, like if you have issues with blood flow or oxygen or things like that getting to your ear, especially with high blood pressure, I think is mentioned on your paper, that can cause hearing loss as well. So those are your types and degrees of hearing loss. And then I'll have one more video for you guys, and hopefully I'll see y'all in September.